Hello YouTube newsletter subscribers, this is Terrell from Terrell3.com and making kind of a different video. Everybody's hearing a lot of news about Flight 370, this Malaysian flight, and the truth hasn't come out yet, but I think I know what it is. I think I've got it figured out, and I think it's going to, within a week, I think this is going to be the lead story. So I want to make it, before everybody else figures it out. Okay, this is the flight path that the jetliner was originally taking. Then it was diverted. You guys all know the story by now. And I want to tell you what happened, what I think happened. Okay, follow my cursor. This flight started heading this way, but there's another flight involved. There's a legitimate flight involved that's going to cross this corridor right here. Okay, and the reason that they're talking about this turn and everything is because this was all pre-planned. This is much more insidious than what you think, right? The CIA is involved in this. This has to do with a lot of things, but some of what this has to do with is the NSA and intrusion. They want to have the right to look at everything. They want to have the right to do whatever they want, and this is part of their plan on how they're going to get it. Right? This involves the Taliban, that's controlled by the CIA. That's how the CIA fights both sides of the illegal war on terror. Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and all these powers that are over here. Now, this flight that's over here is going to have something to do with what's going on right here, particularly on the western side of Pakistan. 3 of these bases over here are controlled by the Taliban. Now, here's the deal. I haven't been able to identify the flight yet, but there's a flight that this guy intersected with, and these guys flew together. That's the reason that that's why it looks like it disappeared, because these transponders were turned off, and this deliberate turn that was pre-programmed, it was pre-programmed to turn because they are coinciding with a legitimate flight. That's the way that you hide in the real world, is that you hide in plain sight. And you do so under false documentation. Right? Illegal aliens are doing it. Look, Obama's sitting in the White House doing it right now. Barry Soetoro is living under Barack Obama. All right? And so they fake the documentation. That's what's kind of going on right here. So here's the deal. There is a flight that's already going in this direction. This flight is going north and then makes this turn and then disappears. But it doesn't disappear. It's flying under the shadow. It's shadowing another flight. Now this flight is going to fly, this big old giant 777 is going to fly right over India. And the reason that there's no warning bells going off is because it's shadowing a legitimate flight. This jetliner lands just about where my cursor is right here in western Pakistan. That's where it is right now. It's sitting there. Now, the way that we know this is because of the leaks that's coming out of the intelligence community. Okay, this is a global intelligence community. These are the people that are all working together that are getting ready to run to their underground arc cities. Anyway, and they're all working together, but they have been amazingly quiet. Here they are looking at Malaysia, to give them answers. They're looking at these little countries over here that have no ability to do the intelligence. No ability whatsoever. Okay, so the answer is going to come out, I think, in about a week, that these people are being held right here. I think that they're all still alive, and they're all being detained, and this is part of something else that's going to happen using this plane in the future. But now that's one of my theories. The other thing is that that these people were all killed, and that would make it more insidious. But at this point, it seems to me that these people are still alive, and they're alive. They're sitting right underneath my cursor right here in Pakistan, and this has to do. It's very complicated. Where the United States, and I shouldn't say we because I'm not authorizing anybody to murder like Obama's doing. People using drones over here in this illegal war on terror that's going on over here. United States has bases surrounding this area. Okay, now, but the CIA is the master. They infiltrate everything. The drug running, the poppy fields up here in Afghanistan, the gun running, the drug running, the money laundering, the slave trade. The CIA is into all this stuff. The reason that the United States is not speaking up is because the lettered agencies knew about this op before it ever took off the ground. They already knew. We have artificial intelligence that can take all this information, and it's live streamed right into the simulations. So as soon as this thing went offline, artificial intelligence would send a red flag. This is threat assessment. That's for our military, but more particularly for the Council on Foreign Relations that tells the CIA what to do over our public government here in the United States. So that this is going to turn out to be the truth. This is the only answer that explains all the evidence without creating a single contradiction. The flight, this left-hand turn, is matching the shadowing of a legitimate flight. And that legitimate flight, I'm going to be able to track it down, hopefully here in the next week, to tell you exactly which one it was. And maybe it's one that's going a longer distance, but I'm kind of doubting, because then there would be a discrepancy in the logs. Okay, this is probably a flight that is landing at the same Air Force base, and these two planes landed, but only one had any of the of the equipment working to be able to tell you which the flight recorders. Only the flight quarters of the legitimate plane are going to be operational, and so everything looks perfect except for one plane disappeared because everything was turned off. Okay, that's what I think happened. And Malaysian Flight 370 may have landed in Pakistan. The source from Boeing. You see, stuff is being leaked slowly out, and I think this is going to be the right answer. All these people, these stooges that are on the TV that are tossing back and forth, all these different ideas, they're digging rabbit holes everywhere, and this is part of an operation. This is keeping people mesmerized. Whenever it's like a magician working on a stage with a half-dressed woman. This is the half-dressed woman that you're supposed to keep your eye on when something else is what's going on. It's a little troubling to me that the United States and the lettered agencies particularly are waiting so long to state the obvious of what they already know. Like in the 9/11 attacks, for example. They know that N6448A, the registry of AA-77 that supposedly crashed in the Pentagon, they know it doesn't exist. So why are they being quiet about it? Because the lettered agencies did 9/11. You see, so since the lettered agencies are controlling this information, they're controlling every single aspect of it. But at this point right here, they're allowing these dogs just to run wild. They're giving them a wide, long leash, spreading hysteria and everything. But they could have come out with the truth about this right away and reassured everybody. But you're seeing an escalation in the panic. You're seeing more and more images of the family members that are hysterical. Everything is being built up and built up and built up. And in the end, whatever happens, then the sheeple are going to be, well, they're going to be woke up to the fact that they need to trade their freedom and liberty for security. And the only way to do that is to allow the global intelligence community to run things. And you're seeing Facebook's coming out with this new face imaging program, 99.25% accurate. And everybody has stuff on Facebook. And then the dupes on the TV, they say, well, who are they giving this information? They're giving this information to artificial intelligence that's running live simulations so that when anything happens, they have a face, it can be matched instantly. We're talking about in nanoseconds, instantly. That's why they need that information. They need the gigantic database of facial images so that whenever they want to pinpoint anybody in the world through facial recognition, they can tell AI, look for this face, and it will use every camera in the world to find him. And he'll pop up on the screen, and then they can continue their op. So it's kind of a, that's kind of a large explanation, but I am just about 100% certain that this plane is going to be found over here in Pakistan. But the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, They already know that it's there, and they've known it's been there for a week, and they're not saying anything. And that leads me to believe that there's a sinister 9/11 like thingy that's coming in the future. And looking at the keywording of the stories that are related to it, it doesn't make me think that it's anything aimed at America. This looks like something that is going to be, I can't move the map over. This looks like something that is going to have a focus on Europe, between Europe and Asia, and be magnified by what Putin's doing here in let me find him. Pardon me. In the Black Sea. What Putin is doing right here in annexing Crimea from Ukraine. And if I was Putin, I would keep going. I would take Ukraine. I'd keep going all the way to Spain if nobody stopped me. The problem over here is, from Putin's perspective, is that there's a power vacuum that's been created by this war on terror. Look at all the kings that look at Iraq, look at Afghanistan, look at what Obama going into Libya and killing Gaddafi. The leadership, whenever you kill the king, every other power faction is activated, and that's what you have right now. And whenever you saw what went on with the ousting of that puppet that Putin put in there in Ukraine, whenever he was ousted, then Putin had to make a move. He had to, because Ukraine is vital to shipping the oil reserves from Russia to Europe. It's vital. They have to have it. Right? So Putin is doing exactly what he should do. In my opinion, you would much rather have Ukraine under Russian control than under Taliban control, or the CIA controlling these factions. You'd much rather have Putin do it, and that's a thumbing in the eye of the global intelligence community, right? Obama cannot do one thing about it. It's impossible. Putin has all the leverage, and like I said, if there's a power vacuum there, the world is more secure if it's filled by a large superpower, somebody like China or Russia or the United States. And Russia, this is right in there. This is right on their border. So this reminds me, when you go back in history, of Texas and Mexico. Mexico occupied where Texas is, and it was taken by war from the United States. Now, suppose that we're in a battle with Mexico over Texas to become a state of our union, and one of these other countries come along and say, "Wait a minute, you got to stop." What are we going to do? You think we're going to listen to them? This is right on our border. This is what we need for our national security. All right, so I'm with Putin on this right here, and he has managed to take Crimea without firing a single shot. This is not shock and awe tactics of the Bush administration. He didn't go in and kill everybody, drop bombs. He went in and used his, his diplomacy, and he took the entire region. And like I said, if Ukraine is going to fall to him, peacefully, that's the way it's supposed to be. So, and if China and Russia can make a look at the map, if China and Russia and these countries here can make a NATO of their own, Europe is going to be brought into it because they need power from that region, and the United States is going to be left all by itself. So I kind of like the idea of Russia and Putin doing for Russians what our president should be doing for the United States, and looking at our interest and working here and not building bases around the world and leading an illegal war on terror. And if I was Putin, what I would do is I would point to the illegitimacy of the presidency of the United States. Barry Soetoro, born in Kenya. There's plenty of documentation. He immigrated to Indonesia. He came to go to Columbia University. Right on his student pass it says that he is a foreign student. And then all that's turned around because CIA, and he's a CIA operative, and he's a tool in the lettered agencies. The global intelligence community wants him in there to run the puppet government under the CIA. Right? So if I was Putin, I'd be pointing out the illegitimacy of the United States presidency, the illegitimacy of the administration, and I would push and I would push and I would push until China and Russia are pushed together, and open pipelines to China and help them. And you see what I mean? Build an alliance over here, because Iran's going to be is going to be part of that instantly. Syria is going to be part of that instantly, and it's going to bring global stability. So I'm for these guys over here. I think the Americans are wrong. Warmongering, fear-mongering Americans. I think that the Americans are wrong. I think they belong out of the Middle East and out of the world's problems. So anyway, that's what I think is going to come out about this Flight 370. See you guys next time.